Hello. Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Hi, Wes.
You're also quiet.
Hi, Lou.
Hello, everyone.
Recording in progress.
Well, thank you for joining. Thank you very much. I'm going to start in 1 minute. Okay, very well. Thank you very much for joining this meeting. The idea tonight is to report also the progress that we have been experiencing in the system. I want to thank all of you for your feedbacks and to allow us to go to the process to stabilize the system and to make the different arrangements that we need to make it work. And well, of course, the system is functional and there are some features that you are discovering and also learning how to use it. So I want to thank also for those leaders that are taking also the role to teach and train others in this process. This is very helpful. So now I'm going to pass the microphone to Frank Leroy, that he has many good things to share with all of you. So welcome, and let's start with Frank.
Thank you, Luis. Thank you for the introduction. So good evening, everyone. I'm glad to be here again with you today with better news than we had Wednesday. The first good news that I really want to share with you is that the system is now stabilized. We have confirmed all basic operations work. And the big takeout that I want to have today is that we have made corrections. There are more corrections to come, but the really major takeout is that today we know that we have a platform that is going to grow with Nikken, that will stay with us under a completely different form by the time we reach Vision 2025. However, we have now a strong foundation that will stay with us for the next 4 or 5 years. And specifically, it's a platform that's going to allow Nikken to build new tools, to build new ways of doing business, and that will allow to merge with other platforms. So that's really the big takeaway that I myself have to admit, I sometimes lose focus on when we work day to day on different issues, on adding systems. I don't want to lose focus also that what we're doing today is a preparation for the next 4 or 5 years, and then a continuous growth after that. So, with that said, though, so let's go back to the day to day. There were quite a few tickets that we opened with our IT team that were critical. So over the last week, we spent a lot of time looking at what is critical, what is something that is supportive to the business, what needs to be resolved right away. We had a lot of good feedback that actually helped us identify those tickets. And I'll start with just a few of, and today I'm not going to give you a PowerPoint because I don't want to just concentrate on a PowerPoint. That's so very limiting. It's going to be a bit more of an open discussion. I'll explain where we stand, what's moving, what's going to happen forwards, and we'll open after that for questions and answers. So the first thing that we have looked at fixing this week was ensuring that there was no more a challenge with login. From what I've seen from the feedback that I received from customer service, there should not be any issue that would be widespread for logging for consultants or customers in Canada or in the USA. What we have also made sure is that shipments should not cause any issue going to Canada or to the US. There were a few orders that were affected by an expedited shipping situation that customer service has looked at, and it is now under control. Whatever shipping option you select is the shipping option that will be selected. The default shipping option in the US will be the cheaper version, with, of course, the option to upgrade to an expedited shipment type. There were some random credit card transaction issues still over the first 2-3 days of the week in Canada specifically. Those have been addressed. There should not be any challenge placing an order in Canada with credit cards. We have verified now that all those transactions are going through. We're getting positive answers from the banks. That's resolved. There was also a specific shipping issue related to displaying the website in languages that have been addressed this week. That should no longer be an issue, whether you select English, Spanish, or French. That's not going to be an impediment to completing an order. Still talking about account creation, we have a security system that has been put in place to ensure that when accounts are created, those accounts are able to create a personal website right away at the time of creation. There was an alert system that would flag specific words and therefore delay a bit the creation of those accounts. We have identified the system. We are pushing a few tweaks to that specific alert system on account creation. So whenever you sign a new consultant, you should no longer see any mention of a word that is not accepted, either in the address, in the name, or in the alias, unless, of course, it's a word that would be a red flag. Now that we're talking of the website, another system that the IT team has been working diligently on this week is specifically for the creation of new websites or the migration of existing websites that have not been changed yet. We are streamlining and ensuring a faster response on those personal websites so that your personal information is displayed at the top left where you're used to seeing it all the way at the top left. This is an ongoing work that has not been completed. We are expecting to finish that early next week. And I'm going to go a little bit more in details for these ones because it's going to touch several topics. The first one, if you're a Canadian consultant, your page should default to the Canadian flag. That's something that we have put in place. But also we need to make sure that that Canadian flag stays there from the time that a visitor comes to your page, moves to the shopping cart, and goes to the checkout. That has just been implemented today, so you no longer have to first choose the country where you're shopping. Similarly, we are going to push to live another fix that's going to carry the language that you have by default on your account. So if your language is identified as Spanish by default, your website will come up in Spanish in the countries that is also your default. However, the person that comes to your website will still have that option to change the default language that corresponds to their need. Conversely, if it's an existing customer that comes to your website, they will have already their default language in their default country. That should be the deciding factor to see the language and country displayed on your personal website. All those changes are changes that will be finalized next week and will take effect in live next week. Another change that has been pushed and is being finalized is providing more explanation on loading your profile picture on your personal website. So we are in the process of adding text explaining the file type and the recommended size for your profile picture. With that coming up, when that comes up, then you will be able to see your profile picture on all pages of your replicated website, as much as on the landing page, as it would also show on each page of the shopping cart. So, okay. I just saw a question coming up on the previous topic I was talking about. So if a customer comes to your website, they will be able to change your country. For example, I have a website in the US. My customer is Canadian. They have access to the flag at the top right. They can click on that and switch the cart from US to Canada. It's not hard-coded where they cannot change it. So it's absolutely possible to have a Canadian customer for a US website or a US customer on a Canadian website. So, okay. We know that tracking packages is a system that works. We have identified a glitch that does not let you track when an order is placed and contains multiple packages with multiple trackings. This one is identified and is going to be resolved in the days to come also. I don't have an exact ETA. I do know it's going to be next week. Another fix that has been put in place is going to be on the dashboards. We have received feedback that the dashboard was showing incorrect organizational volume on the graph on the top right. This has been resolved. The organizational volume on the top right of your dashboard, so that's your landing page on Nikken, is going to match the organizational volume that you see on the qualification module that corresponds to your pin rank on the left side. Also, the qualification module on the left side starts the beginning of the month, so without showing your actual pin rank. That is something that we have started working on, so that be it at the beginning of the month or at the end of the month, so the proper pin rank will be shown in that qualification module on the left. So, okay. A question that has come a lot to customer service is, where is my commission summary? Commission summary is available under My Reports. Once you go to My Reports, you have a list of several reports, personal enrollees, for example, active first levels. If you keep scrolling, you're going to come to one option that actually says Commission Summary. Once that page comes up, you will have access to primary or secondary bonus. So, primary bonus corresponds to your monthly commission. Secondary bonus corresponds to your retail weekly commission. All those are clickable interactive links, and you have historical data that you can refer to in a chart below those two options of primary or secondary bonus. So, we are pushing a bit more of user friendliness to the detailed genealogy. By default, detailed genealogy is a very big table, a lot of columns. That is not always easy to see, but also there's a lot of data that is available. So on this report, we have frozen the top row, so you know which headers are for each one of the columns you see. We have frozen the left column. So on the left, as you scroll to the right, you're always going to keep that first column that shows the name of the person on that list. If I was to show all my columns and then show 3 months of KPIs all the way to the right, so scrolling to that side, I would still see the name of that person. I also want to remind you that on that genealogy report, so you have the option to disable or hide some of those columns or show them again. On top of that report, at the top right, there's a little button that says filter. So it's a little square that says filter. If you click on this, it's going to bring an interface with, on the left, the available column, or the available headers. On the right, the ones that are selected. You can actually take them and move them back and forth to see which one you want to keep or which one you do not want to see. And for this one, I invite you to take some time to look into it, play with it, see what view works better for you. Once you've made your selection and it's something that you like, there's an option to save your preference at the bottom right. It looks like a little save icon, like a little floppy disk. Clicking on that will save your preference. If you change that report, you can change the report. It doesn't override the save option. You can just display without overriding, or you can also save that new preference. We have also added the ID number on that report that was missing. You can now display or decide not to display that column. We have added the account inquiry to the menu at the top right under your name, where you would normally see account history. You are now going to be able to see transaction history, which corresponds to the account inquiry. So we're in the process of renaming that report from transaction history to account inquiry as you are used to. We talked about the in-system messaging last time we were together, and we explained how messaging now happens in the system, because we know that email delivery is not really a guarantee. However, we are actually implementing a system that's going to send an email notification to the recipient that they have a message in the system. That way you know that you will reach your customers and your consultants by email to let them know that they have a notification to log in to look at that. So I believe that this way, there is no way to miss a communication. If the email doesn't come, the communication is still in the system. If somebody has not looked at the system very recently, they will still get an email notification that they have messages in the system. The volume history has been updated in the tools report. So the volume history is also printable from now on. The advantage of the volume history is for everyone that is working towards an incentive qualification. You want to be able to see at a glance all the KPIs that correspond to your activity. So you will see the entire 12 months for each year of PV, PGV, OPV, OPV, OPL, and so on. The website is responsive and needs to work on a mobile phone. We are making some changes and some adjustments so that it looks better on the mobile phone. So we have removed some menus that did not belong. For example, find a consultant on the My Nikken mobile view or on PWPs. Those menus have been removed from the mobile view. We are continuing to make adjustments to the mobile view, either of your back office or your PWP replicated website. Those will address some issues with linking products to categories. Somewhere we were actually missing one category in the shopping cart that's been added. We are relinking some of those categories that were not exactly going to where they need to go. So that's been an ongoing correction. But I believe by tonight, most of it will have been addressed and corrected. So moving on next, We're going to continue working on the website now that those are the main points that we absolutely needed to make sure are fully functional. I do see some comments. If you do not see those fixes working for you today, please contact customer service because most of it has been addressed. And we're going to go through now some fixes that would be more on a case-by-case basis, but those should be easily resolved now. So going forward, we have a few projects that we need to finalize. One of them is the ability to look at order details through the detail genealogy from your organization. That's one project that's in the works now. We are still in the work fixing the next ship date of a wellness subscription that just generated, so it updates faster than it currently does. We have seen a bit of a delay between the time a person signs up and the person web page is activated. We should have a fix by Wednesday for that, so that there's absolutely no delay between the time a P2P is created and the P2P is activated. Similarly, we've seen that there's a bit of a delay between the time you change your alias or your username on a P2P. For example, my P2P was 123.mynikken.com. I changed it to frank.mynikken.com. That switch needs to happen faster. That's what we're going to work on next. We're also going to implement soon another change on the wellness subscription. Up until now, wellness subscriptions were generated on Friday for those that had a ship date coming on a Saturday or Sunday. This in turn was causing issues historically for years, really. It was causing issue where you had to actually rush ahead to change your wellness subscription because the date was moved 2 days ahead. This is something that we're going to look at changing and continue generating those orders over the weekend with the billing happening on the day that wellness subscription is due to generate, so with shipment happening the next business day. Okay. We're still looking at the qualification module on your MyNikken landing page. Right now, it's displayed with a horizontal bar that shows a percentage of progression. That percentage is going to become more interactive and more detailed to tell you exactly what activity corresponds to that percentage. I had confirmation today that the direct deposit is now functional in your back office. You can go into your account, and as your banking account changes, you can go online and update yourself your direct deposit information to receive your commissions. As of today also, we are pushing a system that will send an email notification 2 days before your wellness subscription is generated to inform you that it's due and give you a reminder if you need to change it. It's within 2 days that you have to make the change now. We are going to push a new renewal system to live that reminds you your renewal is due within 30 days. Until this is completely finalized, customer service has taken up the task to reach out to those consultants whose renewal is due within 30 days to make sure they do not miss that important date. So, and one task that came up is we need to continue testing system load depending on the amount of traffic that comes to the website. We know that end of the month is always a busy time, but we have a system that is normally in place to actually manage that system load and expands to multiple resources as the load increases on the system. So that is something that needs to be monitored over the days, months to come, and that will automatically adjust, but it's something that we need to continue monitoring. So those are the updates for this week. and what is coming up next week. And Luis, maybe would you mind opening microphones because we can maybe go through a questions and answer session?
Sure, thank you, Frank. Yes, let's start with Barbara Joseph.
Hi, Barbara.
Hello. I'm so glad that you both look more rested than last time. And thank you so much for being so organized with all of these points and all the work that you and your team are doing. So I really liked hearing that there will be identification on all the pages of the PWP. And I don't think you answered this question, anything about the links, creating links. That's important to me because I have a separate website and all my links now don't go anywhere. It just says that will be up online. And I went into my PWP and I grabbed the URL, and it does have my ID numbers at the end, but I didn't know when I followed through if it was actually my website because there was no identifying factors. So is that the way that I would proceed, or do you believe you'll have the links created soon so I can get it up and running again? Because it's kind of a big project.
So if you created an outside website by creating your own links, those links were on the old system. We moved to a new system with the understanding that the old shopping cart has been completely retired. Those links no longer exist. If you want to link to any product now, there is that option that says create link. Within that option of create link, you can create a link to each landing page of each product.
But when I tried it, well, there was no identifying name on my website, so I wasn't sure it was really me. And also, it didn't link to the specific product when I didn't check today since this morning. Has that been fixed?
It's actually working. So let me answer in two questions, with two answers. Your name is missing. That's part of the thing that we are actually adding, but it's not completely missing. It's in that horizontal green line, and it says you are shopping under Barbara Joseph. In the green light itself, that's not visible. If you missed it, everybody's going to miss it. So we're going to add the picture and the name on those two. The link itself is working on all products. If it is not working, absolutely, I need to look at that. So please send me the link that you created so I can look at it. But each single product in the shopping cart should have an active landing page link.
Okay, as I said, I haven't tried it since earlier today or maybe last night. And when I would click on the shopping cart, meaning I want to just see the big air filter, it just took me to the product page. And maybe that's been fixed.
So if you click are you creating a link or are you copying the HTML link?
I went to create a link on our new back office, and I chose cart because I wanted it to be the actual big air filter, put it in the cart. And then I put that link into a browser, it took me to the product page and not to that shopping cart.
Okay, I see what it is. So there are two links. One is a landing page to a product. The other one that says cart, that's when you create a link for somebody to check out the product in the checkout cart. That is not a link to a category. That is a link to check out the product.
Right, but when I put in to check out the product and I copy and pasted that link and put it in a browser, it didn't take me there. It only took me to a product page.
That's right, it needs to go to the product page.
But I want it to go in the cart page. I never had a link that went into the cart page. You have product page and cart. So I would, and the product page is all of them. And the cart is just the one product with Shop Now, correct?
No.
No?
No, the cart is once you already added product to your cart and you're ready to check out. The product page is the link that lands on the product page itself. So what we're going to do, Barbara, is that we're actually working on creating tutorial videos. And we're going to add more to those tutorial videos. That's part of the next big effort that I should have mentioned, actually. Our marketing team has started working on those. So they will do one specifically also for the product page and one specifically for the cart checkout.
So does that mean that there is no way to get a person to the page where it shows the Kenko Air and has the description and then it says shop now? There's no link to get to that page?
There's a link that would go to the product itself with a product description, and at the bottom, there's an option to add it to your cart.
Okay, now is that the cart link?
That's the product landing page.
Well, my product landing page, I'm pretty sure had gone to just where all the little tiny pictures are of the products. I could never get to the page with the big picture.
Okay, let's look at it together because that's not how it works.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry it took up so much time, but thank you.
Sure.
I have a quick question on the new web page. I look at tax summary, and many of the entries after June or July of 2021 do not match what was in the old commission or earnings summary report. It doesn't match what was in the old data. The dollar amounts from the tax summary that show the commission column doesn't match.
I'd be happy to look at that with you. So let me take your information. Fortunately, I do not see the identification. Would you mind putting your ID number in the chat, and we can look at that?
Okay. Yep. I lost you.
Thank you.
There we go. Let me find the chat. Okay. I'm doing it on my phone. I can't find the chat.
Oh, do you want to say it like that? We can take it like that. So.
Yeah. It's 127481000.
Okay. Okay, we look at that then. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Next is Barbara.
Thank you, Frank, for the responses I've had to my feed forward. And
thank you for sending them.
and my emails. Just one thing that I noticed today, the upper left corner, yes, my ID identification is there now, but there's a different email attached to my profile than what is in my information. I went in to check because I do have 2 email addresses, but my usual address is Richmond@Eastlink, whereas the one that's on my webpage is Silent Impact 1999. And that Silent Impact 1999, I'm not receiving the emails right now. I have a problem with that account.
Okay.
So I didn't get notification tonight. If it hadn't have been posted on WhatsApp, I wouldn't have known about this meeting. I didn't receive an email notification.
Okay.
So if there's any way, I checked, I went into, how you can edit your information.
Mm-hmm.
I did go in to make sure that the correct email was in the account information, and it is correct there. It's just not correct.
Okay.
My profile picture on the opening page.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Barbara. So that's good that you bring this up. You very likely have 2 emails on account. One that's for your P2P, one that's for your own contact with the company. So I'll look into that, making sure that there is not a confusion between those 2 and that we direct the traffic everywhere. Do you mind if I have somebody from CS contact you? Make sure that we have...
I've only used the one account with Nikken.
Okay.
So I was surprised when I saw the Gmail account show up because I haven't used it with my Nikken account. So it was a surprise.
Okay, then we'll look at that and reach out to you from the customer service side.
Certainly. Thank you, Frank. Thank you,
Barbara.
for all the effort put forward.
Thank you. Barbara. Now, Sue Gruber, please mute.
Oh, hi, Frank. I appreciate how fast you get back to my emails and stuff. So thank you for all your responses. A couple different things quickly on the, commission reports. I did finally find them today. They opened up for me. But what I noticed was last week's commission check was posted, but not today's commission check. So I still had to, contact my bank to find out what my deposit was. So will those get more into real time?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So actually, you bring a very good point, something I could have brought up. As we are stabilizing the system, we've been doing a lot of that work manually because we actually audit every step of what's taken on the website to make sure that it's doing exactly what it's supposed to do before we automate everything. There has been a delay that has affected sometimes the volume updates or the frequency of volume update on the website because we're actually making sure nothing breaks and the reaction is what we're expecting. In the days and weeks to come, we're going to automate all those processes. And after automation, then we're going to start running them more often, more frequently, so that everything is much more close to live or with as little delay as possible.
Okay, because the last one showed up on Wednesday, which was great, when you're figuring about bill paying and that kind of stuff. So hopefully we'll get back to something like that where we know a day or two ahead of time what our deposit will be. Okay. My second question goes along kind of with Barbara Joseph. I too have a personal web page, a blog site that links all the products to our PWP for sales. And I have trouble using that create a link. And, is there specific things that have to be in that link that we create to make it work? I have yet to create a link that goes anywhere. So, if there's like some kind of a quick training that people like me could be given for creating our own links. I have just copy and pasted the URL for every product. And that seems to work. It gets my customers to my PWP and I have been getting orders. So it must be working. I too have been confused about, do I want the product page or the cart link? And so I'm not sure what I really want for that, but if I could come up with a way to create a good link, but I haven't been able to create one that actually worked. So I haven't even used that. I just kind of mess around with it and haven't made it work. But I know a few other people that have their own blog site that links all the products to our PWP for sales. It would really be helpful to be given some kind of instruction on how to create those links. And, do we want the product page or the,
absolutely. I hear you.
You know what I mean?
Yes, we need to have a tutorial that tells you exactly what those do. And that's one of the next one. I know I have all the marketing team on the call too, and some of the CS team. So they're taking notes as we go through the questions and answers. It is quite obvious we need to work on that one first.
Yes.
And what let me do this. I'm sharing my screen now. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
I see it.
So I'm logged in right now as a test account. But if I go on create a link, first I'm going to give a name to the link I'm creating. So I'm going to create this one as a waterfall landing page. There are two types of links I can create. The first one that's called cart link. This one is a pre-made shopping cart that's complete and that can simply be checked out. So this one is not the shopping cart. That means you already added everything to your shopping cart And the next step is just to start entering the credit card information.
Okay.
The link that I believe you're referring to is what's called the product page. That's the landing page to the product that you want to link to. That means it will be the large picture on the left with the text on the right, and the option to add to the shopping cart at the bottom the different quantities. So I'll go through that now. I selected product page, continue. I'm going to go to the product that I want to add. So I went to waterfall. See here, it says create a category link. Click on this one. And now it brings me back to my summary of pages. I have waterfall landing page. I can copy this link or display it. Please note that those are encoded links that already know that it belongs to you. So your ID shows in there, your P2P shows in there. It's unique to you. If you were to share it with another consultant, that would not work because that would still go to your business. So it's absolutely unique to you. If I copy this link, I now have a link. Exactly, it goes to customers. So now that I've copied this link, if I paste it here, I would get the shopping cart landing page for that specific product. So,
Oh, okay.
and there we go. We end here, right here. Well, I'm on a test account, so it doesn't show. I don't have a name because I don't really sell online, but it says you are creating a personal order with Sue Gruber. We're still going to add Sue Gruber and Sue's pictures here on the left.
Okay.
But that's exactly where you would see. And from here, you can add it to your shopping cart. So change the quantity. Once they do that and they start checking out, they are really on Sue Gruber's website. So.
Oh, okay. That is very easy. Okay. Very, very good. I was trying to make it a lot harder than that.
And yes, well, we all have a tendency to do that.
You poor thing, you've been putting up with us and all this. No, that's good. That's very good. Thank you. That's
good.
Very helpful.
And we'll have the identifiers. That's absolutely needed.
Yeah,
okay, great.
We do things like that, like following our phrase that is discover it.
Great. Thank you very much. There. That's very good.
Thank you, Sue.
Thank you.
So now we have Zoom user, but can you tell us your name, please? You are ready to talk.
Hello.
Yes.
Is me?
Yes.
Okay. My name is Audrey Horton, and I don't know how to put a name up there. I see it says Zoom user. I'm going to be very basic. What is our web page now? www.what?
So your web page, it's actually, I'm glad you asked that. It's not the www. We don't need the www anymore.
Okay.
The name that you had is going to be the same one unless you change it. If you did not have a name and you had an ID number, it would be your ID number .mynikken.com. So ID number.mynikken.com. However, I strongly recommend that you change that in your back office from your ID number and to select a specific word. It doesn't have to be your name. It can be something specific to you. But it is better for linking because it also works better with social media if it's a name instead of an ID number.
Right. I used to have QLT, standing for Quality Life Technologies.
If it's not taken, that's a good one to have.
But now I went in and I did change it to Audrey. So what is my way to get to Nikken now or somebody else's?
It's
It's not
Nikken.com.
www.
So if it's your PWP, it's going to be audrey.mynikken.com. But we still, remember, we said we're going to keep the legacy addressing from old systems still operational for a year. So
Okay.
the nikken.com/Audrey would also work. However, if you make business cards now, please use the new formatting, which would be audrey.mynikken.com.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Audrey.
Yes.
Good. Okay, Mike Dimitrov, please go ahead.
Hi there. Great work, Frank.
Thank you.
This is a question that I'm wondering if this is doable, if it's something in the process, if it's something you're aware of. When a customer comes to an account, to our PWP, whether they're originating from Canada or originating from the US, is the software sensitive enough to detect which country is the country of origin of the customer and automatically switch the account to the Canadian or to the US?
The system will detect what country you come from. It's not, however, going to force the change on the customer. They will have an option of selecting yes or no if they want to switch to the relevant shopping cart. But with that said, we have to decide what is the more productive way of doing so. If we want to have the system automated, or if we want to have the system showing your cart in your country until that person is ready to make a change. That comes now after that. IP addressing and geolocalization based on IP is not yet a completely reliable science. All the more since a lot of those people would be hidden between proxies or VPN. That's a bit opening a can of worms there.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Okay, Brian Kellan, please go ahead.
Hi, Brian.
Hi. Yeah, I'm in Canada here. I've been having some issues, and the email for this meeting, it did say that as you strive to maximize efficiency on multiple platforms. So are older devices obsolete and cannot reach the Nikken sites?
So when we say multiple platform, it's because the MyNikken environment is going to be responsive. What responsive means is that by default, your screen is going to be an horizontal rectangle. If you go on a cell phone, the rectangle has been switched.
Yep.
So we changed the menus. Compatibility backwards is going to be something that is possible up to a certain point, depending on the old device that you use. If I was to use an example and say one of the first generation of iPads does not support Java at all. So if we have any menus that's programmed in Java, that kind of platform will not support it. So usually we try to program backwards up to 5 years.
Okay, so like things like, I don't know, Samsung Galaxy 5, Galaxy 6, whatever, 7, are they working?
I know for sure that the Galaxy 5 is not going to work completely because it's actually not supported anymore by Google. The Google Chrome actually doesn't support and doesn't provide any more Android updates on this one.
Okay, because that's where the issue has been with me and customers here.
That might be an issue, but it's something that's unfortunately outside the realm of what we control. It's simply once a phone reaches obsolescence that's decided by the operating system of that phone, they no longer push updates that are no longer compatible with modern technologies.
Okay, good, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Brian. Okay, very good. Oh, Ruth, come. Go ahead. With a baby, is your grandson?
Granddaughter.
Oh, granddaughter. Okay.
We're babysitting. So thank you, Frank, for all the improvements that have been happening on a daily basis. We really appreciate it. But I have 3 questions, if that's okay. The first one is, how long, once we place an order for a customer or ourselves, will we see an update on the system?
So that's part of the system I was mentioning. We're going to start increasing that frequency.
Okay.
The goal is to be within the hour.
Okay, awesome. The second question I have is, I noticed when we were trying to place an order, shipping would default to the higher shipping. So is that good? When is that going to be fixed? So
that actually should have been fixed today.
Okay, because we did it last night. It wasn't working. Okay, that's great. Thank you. And then the last one is Canadian pricing. Right now, when we have a customer goes into our own, like ruthlow.com, they select US or Canada. And if they select Canada, it still goes back to the US price. So we don't have the Canadian pricing for that capability yet.
So we do have the pricing, but that's the part that we need to finalize, where we need to make that flag and that country selection stick. But that needs to happen once you reach the shopping cart. Once you reach the shopping cart and make the flag selection on the shopping cart, from there it's going to stay on that country. Okay. And you will see as you reach that shopping cart, it actually shows the currency type, and you will see the little C for Canada in front of the dollar amount. So.
Okay. Okay, great. Thank you. Appreciate all your help.
Thank you, Ruth.
Okay, we have AR Phone X. Unmute and please tell us your name.
It's Alan Rako.
Oh, hi, Alan.
Oh.
Wait, that's AR.
Okay.
Yeah, I wanted to ask one question. With the genealogy, how do you set it up for just getting leadership?
You can probably select by rank. So
okay,
we're going to be adding, actually, we're still working on this one where we're going to give you the 4 options that you were used to with the breakaway, leadership, personal group, customers. Those are being added.
Okay, great. Thank you. And you guys are doing a great job. Thanks.
Thank you, Alan.
Thanks, Alan.
Good night.
You're welcome.
Okay, Wes. Hello, friend. How are you?
Hi. On the calendar that's at the bottom of the my business page, should there be events in there? I mean,
there should absolutely be events that need to be loaded there. Yes. So.
Oh, they're not there yet.
They're not there, and they need to go there right away. Okay,
so we would see all the corporate events there.
Yes, we need to post. So all the Nikken Next, for example, the kickoff calls. Seiko Kai and so on, all of that needs to be added to that calendar.
Okay.
That's correct. Good. Thank you, Wes. Yeah, Sherry, unmute yourself.
Hi, Sherry.
Hey, thank you. Y'all are doing a great job. You've been answering questions in real time. But I've been playing around, and maybe I'm doing something wrong. I copied to try to do the link because I have the same thing where I have a personal website. And I copied it in the address browser, and it's coming back to edit link. So should I be, when I copy link, and if I put it into the browser, shouldn't I, I'm thinking I can open up that page.
You can, but I would recommend that before you paste it, you log out of My Nikken because you're already in a My Nikken session. So what's happening is that you're on My Nikken as a consultant, and you're trying to open your personal link on the same browser as a customer. And now your browser is going to say, wait a second, are you a consultant or a customer?
Okay, I see what you're saying. So I'm trying to test it, and I've got to log out. Okay.
But you should definitely not say edit. The way that I showed it, I was taking a bit of a shortcut, but that's how it should work.
Okay, I'll play with it some more. Thank you. You guys are doing an awesome job. Everything that has been a challenge this week has gone away for me. So
thank you. That's good to hear.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sherry. Good night.
Good night.
Alan Racco. Now I know that you are Alan Racco.
You got it. Interesting enough, I just pressed rank on the genealogy a few times and it came up the right one. Just pressing rank.
Oh, you can also sort. Yeah, I should have added that. The genealogy actually can be sorted by all the columns. So.
Right, but I'm talking when I have the column set up and I press rank, then it first went to customer, then it went to leadership. It's automatic. I pressed it twice.
Yeah. Yeah, they're all actually filtered by alphabetical order too.
Oh, okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you, Anne.
Okay,
Gary is next.
Gary, yeah, Gary Linder, please.
Yeah, hi, everybody, and thanks for everything you're doing. Frank, I noticed if I go to my customer page, the customer list, it shows like no activity for any of them?
That's something I would have to look at with you then.
Okay.
Because they should be listed on the test account I have here. It shows, so maybe we need to look at it together.
Okay. It just says PPV 0, last activity date 0. So.
Okay. Then yeah, let's look at it together. We'll set up a time. I'll contact you separately.
All right. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Gary. Good night. Barbara Joseph.
I'm really grateful that Sue brought that up and you did the tutorial, because there was a second click that needed to make it happen. And I was expecting it to be at the first. And I'm not good at multitasking, so I haven't tried it. And if I have a problem, I'll reach out to you. And just to get back to Sherry, when I'm doing this kind of work, rather than closing out because I'm in my home office or my back office, I use the second browser for my customers. And then that way it doesn't conflict. So thank you.
That's a good point.
Okay, great.
Thank you, Barbara.
You're welcome. Thank you for
Thank
everything.
you. Good night, Barbara.
Good night.
Patty Sutcliffe. Go.
Hi, everybody. Good evening. Thank you so much for everything you're doing. And that feedback section is wonderful because you could put bigger little things. Thank you. I just have a question. I needed to quote a price in Belgium. I need the country packs. Are they going to be having all the correct price list and all the information? And if you needed to print paperwork or how to get them, because I did not find, I always figure it out, but I was not able to quote a price for Belgium of a waterfall, because there was not the information. So I'd appreciate full information on all the country packs. What I checked was Europe, Belgium, but I'm sure we need to double check that.
Okay.
Thank
okay,
you.
Good point. We'll look into those country packs, make sure that everything is up to date and that we have full price list there too.
Thank you. And I would appreciate if somehow when you're working on a cell phone, a mobile phone, to be able to get to the country packs or information. I don't know. I just, through my iPhone, I was not able to get it. On my computer, I can. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Patty.
Okay. It doesn't look like we have any more questions.
No, good job.
Okay. So we still are looking at the feedback every minute almost, because simply the feedback comes straight into my email, comes straight into Luis's email. So as we receive them, we read them. I invite you to continue sending your feedback, sending your recommendation. We are now reaching a bit of a crucial point where stabilization is a lot more certain, and we are going to move now to the next steps. We said that we're on a long journey to 2025. There will be changes in the months to come, very short months to come. Now that this platform is being a bit more stabilized, we will move to the next phase. And that next phase is going to be presented at the event on, I'm putting a blank, on March 26th. Yes, March 26th. So I invite you to attend the March 26th event.
Is the sake okay?
It would be, yes.
Okay, good. We have one more question, I guess. That is OnePlus Nord N10 5G. Can you introduce yourself? Can you mute? You are mute.
Can you unmute your microphone? No.
Oh, we cannot hear you. From our side, you're on mute. Oh yeah, now you're connecting audio. Oh, it failed.
I don't think it's working. We cannot hear you, unfortunately.
Oh, what can be happen? You try to connect audio. It's trying to get. Oh yeah, now it's working. Now you unmute. Now you can unmute. Yeah, go ahead. We should listen you, but no.
I think we can hear you. No, we're not getting audio.
Híjoles. Can you write us?
Do you want to put your question in the chat? We're going to look at the chat and we can reply that way.
Yep, this has been a wonderful journey for all of us, and also stepped to the direction that we want to go. So there are many things to come. This part is the biggest change that I feel that we are going to have. So from here is more developing and developing. So we are going to have close contact during the next months, also with the idea to keep going and always that have everyone on the same page. So that will help a lot. There is there a YouTube? Is the question of OnePlus Nord and 10 5G.
So we have a YouTube channel. You can access our YouTube channel by looking at the footer portion of mynikken.com. That's a direct link to our YouTube. And we are going to continue working on the tutorials. There will be a place we're going to post the tutorials on the mynikken.com. At the moment, we only have 4 tutorials. We are going to produce more tutorials, and one of the very next one will be how to use the hyperlink. So,
yes. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Very well. So, final words, Frank?
No, I think we're ready for next week.
Wonderful. So have a wonderful weekend. We are going to continue paying attention to all the feedbacks during the weekend, the most we can, of course. And we are going to have another call next week to continue with the updates and the directions, trainings, and whatever we need to do to make this work better and faster. So thank you very much. Have a wonderful weekend.
Good evening, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you for everything.
It's a pleasure.
There's second, Karen. Okay.
Blessing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Happy weekend.
Same to you.
Yes, happy weekend.
Get some